Hello everybody and welcome back. In the previous lessons, we learned how to build forms and define different types of form fields in Django. We even saw how our form render beautifully on the web page. But something important was missing there. When we clicked on the submit button, nothing actually happened. Now in this lesson, we are going to fix that. Today's focus is on collecting data with Django forms. How the data travels from the user's browser, how Django receives it, and how we process that data inside our views. And after understanding the concepts, we will walk through a complete example inside our app, the feedback app, where we'll build a simple feedback form that collects a user's name and message and then displays a confirmation page. So let's dive right in.
So let us explore what actually happens when a user submits a Django form, how the browser sends the data, how Django receives it, and how we process it inside our views. Now, whenever a user fills out a form and clicks submit, the browser bundles all the values entered and sends them to your server inside an HTTP request. Django receives this request and gives us full access to the submitted data. Now, for the browser to send data properly, your HTML form needs three key attributes. Firstly, the method equal to post, meaning the data will be sent in the request body. Next, there's action equal to URL followed by the view name. This tells the browser where to send the data. And then we have this CSRF token, which is required by Django for security. And finally, you need a submit button to trigger the submission. Now, this is how a typical Django form is placed inside a template. The form uses post, points to a view using the action, includes a CSRF token, and uses form.as_p to render all the form fields. Now let's look at the URL configuration. In your app's urls.py, you connect the template form to a view using a URL pattern. Usually, a single view handles both get requests showing the empty form and post requests processing the submitted data. Now when Django receives a request, the view checks the HTTP method. If it is get, we show the empty form. If it is post, it means the user has submitted data, and the submitted data becomes available in the request.post, which behaves like a dictionary. Now let's look at binding data to the form. This is the most important line in this whole lesson. When we pass request.post into the form class, Django binds or attaches the submitted data to the form fields we define. This gives us access to user input in a structured way. Also, let's look at what are bound versus unbound forms. An unbound form displays empty fields, and a bound form contains user data. This binding makes validation and data extraction possible. Now let's take an example on the CodeChef platform and see all this in action. So in our worked-out example, we will collect a user's name and message, then show a confirmation page containing what they submitted. So here I am on the CodeChef platform and we have this worked-out example called Simple Feedback Form Data Collection. So if you look at the file explorer, we have a project called My Project and an app called Feedback App, and the corresponding forms.py file for the app is created, and then the views.py file of the app is also open here, and we have the urls.py files of the app and the project. And if you see further, you can also see the template that is used for displaying the data on the screen. So let's take a look at each of them one by one. The main aim of this project is to have a feedback form which will collect a user's name and their feedback message, and after the user submits the form, they should be shown a confirmation page that displays the name and the message that they just submitted. So first of all, let's take a look at the forms.py file. So in the forms.py file, here we can see that we have created a simple form with two fields, name and message. Both are character fields, with name having a maximum length of 100 and message having a maximum length of 500. Now let's look at the views.py file. Now in the views.py file, we can see that we have imported the feedback form, which was the name of the form class that we created here. We have imported that over here, and then we have defined a view called feedback form view. Now let's break down what happens here. If the request method is post, it means the form was submitted. We bind the submitted data to a form using the feedback form request.post, and we validate the form using form.isValid. Now if the form is valid, Django makes the cleaned version available inside this form.cleaned data, and we extract the name and the message from there, falling back to the defaults if values are missing. Then we send those values to the confirmation template. So here you can see we have put them into a context called name and message, and then we are rendering it to a template called feedback confirmation template.html, and we are passing this context to this page. Now this was if the request method was post. Now we will come to the else part. If it is not a post request, that means it is a get request. So here what we do, we simply show an empty form. So we are rendering the feedback form template here, and that is the empty form that we show to the user. So let me show you the templates now. First, let's look at the empty form, which is a feedback form template. So here in this feedback form template, you can see that it displays the form using post. And then you can see form.asp is used in order to render our feedback forms fields as paragraphs, and we also have a submit button. And also we have an action here which is telling us where or which view to call when this form is submitted. So here it says URL and submit feedback. Now what is this submit feedback? Let me take you to the urls.py file of the feedback app here. So here you can see we have this view called feedback form view, and the name that is given is submit feedback. So this was the submit feedback that we were referring to in the template. When the form is submitted, so this feedback form view will be called and it will be rendered to the user. And also we have the urls.py file of the project where we have included the feedback app's URLs, and that is what will lead us over here. And also there is this last template that I have to show you, which is a feedback confirmation template. So this is the confirmation page that we show after the form is submitted and processed. So the user is taken to this confirmation page which displays the submitted name and the message. So here you can see that name that the user submitted will come here, and the message that he submitted will be shown over here. Okay, so let's run this and see how it works. When I click on the run button, you can see the server is starting, migrations if any are applied, and then you can see that the form opens up over here. So this is the first template that we have, the empty form. Give us your feedback, your name and your feedback. So let me just type name and give a feedback here, and let me click on submit feedback, and here it says thank you for your feedback Jason, which is the name that I entered, the username. We have received your message good, which is the feedback message that I have entered. So what Django did was it processed the post request, it validated the data, and it displayed the confirmation page with our submitted details. So this is how we can collect data using Django forms and also make use of that data later for displaying or any such uses later in the project.
And that wraps up our lesson on collecting data with Django forms. You now understand how form data travels from the browser to Django, how to bind data to a form, how to validate it, and how to show a confirmation page. This is one of the most important concepts in Django because every interactive website you build, login forms, search forms, profile forms, all follow this same exact pattern. So make sure you try out the practice problem that is available on the CodeChef platform for this lesson. So keep practicing on CodeChef, and I will see you in the next one.